right. So why, oh, why will Tennessee benefit from the NIL more than any other team? Well, I wrote about that this morning after Josh Heupel was asked about it. So let me give you a little bit of explanation. There was supposedly this divide that was supposed to exist. People were unsure. And that's why Josh Heupel at SEC Media Days looked like he was dancing around on a hot skillet because he was so uncomfortable talking about NIL. This is so against what these coaches have been brought up on. Caleb is providing any financial inducement to a player, current or prospect or otherwise. So now there's a coming together, and you had Danny White send out a message essentially saying, pay our athletes. Tennessee's athletic director. That's exactly what he said, to paraphrase. And you had Josh Heupel that was asked about it yesterday. So I've said this before, and guys, I'm not sure if we've had the discussion, but I will say this again. You find me a school. I'm going to open it up to you guys. You find me, tell me one school that can benefit more from NIL than Tennessee. And I want our message board people to put it out there too. I know a lot of you are Tennessee fans, but you give me a school. Okay, like throw a Texas A&M out there. They have a bigger budget. We'll talk about Texas A&M. Give me a bigger school. And if anybody can find a school that has a better NIL advantage, and unfortunately I'm the judge, jury, and executioner of this, I will hook them up with a barbecue gift pack to Owl's Nest Barbecue or a Craft Treats gift certificate. All right, Caleb, you start. Give me one school that's going to benefit more of a, or do you want to start? Amanda looks giddy and ready to go.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay,
if
give me
Caleb's
one.
not.
Give me one.
Yeah. Okay, I have two.
Okay,
and we're just talking NIL, correct?
Just talking NIL, that Tennessee, I believe, has as much of an advantage as any team in the nation.
Okay, well, these two go together, so I have to give you two. Oregon, Maryland, those two.
Okay.
Nike, Under Armour.
I know exactly where you're going. Yeah.
No.
So Oregon is a very, very good one. Let me start with Maryland. Maryland's money, and Caleb, you might want to speak to this. Caleb lives in Maryland and went to Maryland. Caleb, Under Armour's money is dwarfed by Nike's money. It's significant, but they're not able to dole it around. We could check stock prices. So there is a direct relationship there. So I think I would eliminate Rutgers. I would eliminate Maryland. Okay.
Rutgers. Elon Musk. Keep going.
Did he go to Rutgers?
Yes.
Boy, man, imagine if he decided to get in the college football game. Okay, that would blow my argument way out of the water.
Yeah.
What is a Rutgers? That player from 1986 said for Tennessee, and they lost to Rutgers that year. All right, Caleb, I think it was 86. All right, so would you agree with me that Maryland doesn't have the money and doesn't have the fan support there at Oregon?
Yes, Maryland doesn't have apathy is too much in Maryland compared to Oregon. I will say one thing Maryland does have, because NIL is part of the equation. Location still matters. Maryland has a lot more connected to some local talent than Oregon is. The DC area, and they can get into Virginia and into Pennsylvania and sometimes into North Carolina. So I think location advantage makes Maryland not as needing NIL money as in Oregon, but yeah, they can't compete with Nike in Oregon, and they can't compete with any of the SEC schools that have talent and a bunch of NIL money to be able to.
Right, because you might want to spend money with the nearby Wizards, the Orioles, the Ravens. There's a lot of competition there. So in that DMV area is what they call it. Yep. So if you go to Oregon, now that's a very good one. I mean, I'm going to give you that one. There's a lot of Nike money. They have this just unbelievable facility. It's like 18 buildings. I've talked about it before. That's a very good one. Here's going to be my argument. Now, you might be right, okay? You may very well be right. My argument would be that Nike, okay, is going to spend money only to an extent that it helps their business. I think Phil Knight is a very smart businessman. I think he would spend money with Oregon but I think ultimately he would also put children to work in China to make his
Well,
shoes.
of course.
So I think he's very cutthroat business wise. I don't think he would. Same thing if I don't know if he's married or not, but same thing with his wife. I don't think he would give. I don't think he would overly give because that's not the type of person he is. So I think. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have a counter argument to that.
I
I
love it.
agree with what you're saying. I agree. But he could kill two birds with one stone, because if you make Oregon a dominant powerhouse by using this NIL money to, and let's be honest, to bring in players to kind of promise them gigantic sum of money when they get there and they play, then how many jerseys does Oregon have? I mean, really, like how many jersey combinations? So if you have Oregon fans, people automatically flock to people who are winning. I mean, I saw something the other day about, before Tennessee's game against Georgia, how many people were getting Tennessee tattoos. Like it was going crazy in Knoxville. Anywho, if you have fans and if you're winning, you get more fans. The more fans you get, the more jerseys you sell, the more money you make. And Oregon has 50,000 jerseys. So,
Okay.
Another layer of a question about Oregon and Nike before we go further, though, because I don't know. I'm asking both of you guys this honestly. What about the brands that are brands under the Nike umbrella and where they are, like the Jordan brand in North Carolina? Is huge there. Will that have an impact? LeBron's, like, what if LeBron says everybody who goes to Ohio State will get an endorsement for a pair of LeBrons? You know what I mean?
Are you
Like,
are you kind of hinting that they could overspend at Oregon and hurt their relationship with other schools?
no, I'm asking, could the other schools, like, could North Carolina and an Ohio State with like Michael Jordan or LeBron have the same type of NIL power that Oregon with just directly Nike has, if that makes sense?
They could. When you're talking basketball, obviously you just have to buy one player, so
Yeah.
that's way different. That changes the course of the team. Okay, my other argument against Oregon is that you do have Oregon State, so that some of the advertisers, other than I know, I'm not saying you're not right. Okay,
no, I'm just saying
that
Oregon's
is the one when I was thinking about it this morning that stood out. If they just decided, but we're only talking about one company with Tennessee being in Knoxville, and here's the basis of my argument. Yes, she is on fire. Top truth, Amanda's on fire. So with Knoxville, there's no other. It's a one horse town. Okay, there's no other place to spend your money and get that type of exposure with athletics. At least I could make the argument with Oregon that there's Oregon State. There are other nearby. Go ahead, the Seahawks, for instance. There are
no.
other. Go ahead.
They're putting the, I know this is off. I mean, and it's not, but if you want exposure in Knoxville now, they're moving the, I can't remember. I have a sweatshirt of them with a little bear on it. Smokies. They're moving the Smokies downtown. So they're building that stadium downtown in Knoxville. And I don't remember when it's happening, but it's happening.
Yeah, you could spend money with the Smokies.
Yeah,
think
I know it's not a lot, but
probably pennies on the dollar. Okay, so my argument is, and I want to go to the message board, and my argument is that Tennessee owns Nashville, owns Knoxville, owns Chattanooga. I won't say owns Nashville. Let me backtrack on that a little bit. There is the competition for Titans money. Okay,
and Predators.
and Predators. So let me backtrack on that again. But we had Ron Slay on this program, and he said, and he's on every Wednesday, and he said the interest level from fans is 55% Tennessee. So let's say they have a big part of what is now, I believe, a top 10 market, Caleb, and they have Knoxville exclusively their own, which is like a top 50-ish market. And there's no competition in Knoxville. Okay, so that would be my argument against Oregon. Now, some others that people have thrown up there. Okay, Oklahoma and Texas oil money. My argument's going to be the same for those that it was for Oregon State, but I believe this argument's stronger because the Oregon State, Amanda gave the look for those watching on the video. She's right. I mean,
No one
so
cares about the Beavers.
it's a bit of a reach for me. I agree. Oklahoma and Oklahoma State are tit for tat there. Yeah, they're pretty close. That could go either way. Texas, you have a ton of competition. You have the Cowboys, you have the Texans, you have, it seems like they're, whether it's Baylor or TCU, it seems like there's a college football program that comes out of the woodwork every once in a while and makes some sort of statement. So, Caleb, I wouldn't take either of those. You?
Might take Texas. I agree with Texas A&M because they own College Station, but you're right. You go to Dallas or Fort Worth, I mean, you're getting all of that. But University of Texas is in Austin, and they are the only show in town in Austin. They do own Austin. On top of that, they still have pull throughout the state. Texas was able to start its own network. Okay, what other school was able to do that? And so I think Texas is a little bit different particularly now that they're in the SEC. Obviously, I think that Texas. But I agree. Texas A&M is probably going to hurt a little bit. But also, we're talking about competition, but supply versus competition. You got to think about that. Yeah, Texas has competition, but there's like 4 gigantic markets in Texas, all bigger than the biggest market in Tennessee. I mean, so
Sure.
There's just a lot more money to go around at that point.
Well, but here's ultimately, I think, my underlying argument is that nostalgia. If you've watched Mad Men, nostalgia makes people move, makes buyers move, and Tennessee has that nostalgia. Okay, that I think people will even overspend. I mean, let's face it. If Nico Iamaleava got $8 million or got promised $8 million, you overspent there. I'm sorry. There is no way in creation that you should pay $8 million for any prospect. If you want a wink, wink guarantee $1 million, now that's what the market's bearing right now, but I don't believe it'll bear that long term. But I don't think those schools that we're talking about are going to necessarily overspend like Tennessee will. I think Tennessee corporate people that make decisions will overspend because they realize the economy is better in Knoxville and in East Tennessee when Tennessee's good.
To your point, Texas and Tennessee both are they're 2 of the 9 states that have no state income tax, which brings corporations in. I mean, I know that seems way off, but it does. It brings we saw Elon Musk move Tesla from California to Texas for that exact reason and other things, but that was a big reason. But to your point, Dave, Tennessee, Texas, and Florida are probably the biggest, like, football centric, sports centric states that have no state income tax. So that makes
I didn't think about that, but there are companies moving left and right. Commercial real estate in Knoxville is just exploding.
Yeah.
Knoxville is the 62nd biggest market according to the Nielsen ratings that I'm looking at. May surprise some people. You think of it as just a small college town, but it's not. Austin is 38. So Austin is significant. Nashville is 29. So I thought they were a little bit higher. So I don't see a school that the combination of nostalgia, history, the strong market which has those corporate type of donors. I don't see that school that's out there that will be able to rival Tennessee year in and year out. Do we have anybody else that put something out there? Tennessee does not have a personal income tax. We do have a corporate tax. I know that. I might make a financial decision in my mind. Brittany said I said the same thing, Amanda. And then there's a bunch of dating apps. So
We're back.
Yeah, they're back. And Smoky Mountain Red said, I feel Texas could explode, but it still seems like Texas cares more about high school football. It's a great point. Than college football. To me, the passion isn't there. Now that could come back. It could come back at Southern California too. I think people that don't remember some of those teams in the 70s and 80s. I mean, Southern Cal was a big deal. It was kind of like them and Notre Dame were the 2 biggest schools in the nation.
A lot of people are leaving Cal.
Yeah,
California.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge if to say they would ever reach that level again. So